We are breaking here with breaking news about the security breach where the Atlantic magazine's Jeffrey Goldberg was added to a text thread about U.S. military plans to strike Houthi militias in Yemen. Well, the administration officials involved, who are among the highest ranking in the U.S. government, insist no classified information was shared. Moments ago, a follow-up. Goldberg posted a follow-up piece entitled, "Here are the attack plans that Trump's advisors shared on Signal." He writes in part this: the statements by Hegseth, Gabbard, Ratcliffe, and Trump, combined with the assertions made by numerous administration officials that we are lying about the context of the Signal texts, have led us to believe that people should see the texts in order to reach their own conclusions. And then laid out in this latest piece, which broke just now in The Atlantic, Jonathan Lemire, everyone can see the text for themselves.
Yeah, the screenshots of the texts are included in this piece that Jeffrey Goldberg and Shane Harris just posted on The Atlantic's website. We'll go through a little bit of it now. The White House, as you just mentioned, has insisted time and again two things: that nothing in here was classified and that no war plans were included. Well, as Jeffrey and Shane write, take a look for yourself. I'll read a little bit of it here. These are texts from Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, talking about at 11:44 Eastern that day, weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM, we are a go for mission launch. 12:15 texts in this chat, F-18's launch. Declares this the first strike package. At 1:45, talks about how the trigger-based strike window begins. Target terrorist is at known location. As here we are here, second strike at 15:36. More to follow. We're currently clean on OPSEC. Of course, Secretary of Defense declares they're clean on OPSEC in a text chain read by the editor of The Atlantic, who was inadvertently added to that group. And we'll note a short time later, we have further updates from Michael Waltz, the National Security Advisor, who talks about how the target has been hit, declaring positive identifications. So these would seem to me, the very definition of attack plans. And I've already talked to a former Pentagon official who says, reading these screenshots hurriedly, of course, everything in here would be classified.
And leading up to that, of course, a lot of debate about it openly on Signal. Joining us now, Editor-in-Chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg. Jeffrey, would you like to talk a little bit more about the decision to release these?
Well, sure. Well, first of all, we didn't do this lightly. And all yesterday, we were asking our contacts across the administration, national security complex, CIA, DNI, et cetera, do you have any, since the president has declared this unclassified, and since the DNI, since the head of the CIA said there's nothing sensitive or nothing classified in these documents, we just want to make sure that you don't have specific objections to this kind of information going out in public. The White House issued us an anodyne statement late last night saying they think that some of this is sensitive and they would rather not have it out there, but there was no objections to specific details. We did redact one piece of information because we felt on our own that we felt it was best to do, and the CIA asked us. But, you know, at a certain point, the administration is saying that there's nothing classified or secret or sensitive in these. So at a certain point, I just felt, you know, let our readers decide for themselves. Read these texts that I got sitting in my car on my phone in a Safeway parking lot 2 hours before the attack launched, and you tell me if this seems like good operational security. You know, and really, I really mean it. Let the readers decide.
Right. And Jonathan Lemire, two issues here. Of course, that Jeffrey was included on this. And there have been accusations made over the airwaves, I believe by Mike Waltz, that there was some sort of foul play on Jeffrey's part. I'd love Jeffrey to respond to that. But also the fact that this was on Signal is a big issue as well.
Yeah, so Jeffrey, let's start there. Sure you've heard, President of the United States called you a sleazebag. Members of his top officials in his administration used similar terminology to describe you and your reporting here. So first, just respond to that, and we'll go from there.
Well, I mean, it's kind of rude. First, they invite me to their Signal chat, and then they call me names. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, and I've seen these. I mean, I get it. Mike Waltz is looking for the real killer. You know, the simple truth of the matter is, on March 11th, Mike Waltz sent me a message request on Signal, and I accepted it. That's the entire story. I mean, there's no daring do here. I entirely passively accepted his request to connect on Signal. I'm not going to comment on my relationship with Mike Waltz. He's been saying unserious and unkind things about me. That's okay. But you know, the story is the story.
Yeah.
March 11th, he reached out. March 13th, I'm added to the Houthi PC small group. March 15th, they announced to the small group before the attack occurs that the attack is occurring and what weapons they're using. And then I began the process of writing up what I thought was a story about a massive security breach at the highest levels of the United States government. That's the story.
Yeah, it is a massive security breach, although I think the one positive here is that readers can decide for themselves. There is
the one positive here, and this is the purpose of journalism, because, you know, it's like we discovered something the government was doing that was wrong and dangerous. And, you know, they could have responded by saying, yeah, we shouldn't have been on Signal. We won't do it again.
Right.
That would have been an easy way to deal with this.
It would have been a lot easier than the way they're dealing with it now, because they have a lot of different conflicting stories that they're putting out there. Also, I think, trying to defame your character to an extent, and I take issue with that. And Jonathan, on top of it, they're using an unsecured commercial app.
Yeah, unsecured commercial app on phones that themselves potentially could be vulnerable. Jeffrey, let's get you to respond, if we could, to in real time. The White House Press Secretary Karen Leavitt just posted. She took a screenshot of the Atlantic headline, which reads, I will say again for the viewers, here are the attack plans that Trump advisors shared on Signal. She writes this: the Atlantic has conceded these were not, quote, war plans. The entire story was another hoax written by a Trump hater, yada, yada. So, Jeffrey, does this seem like they're parsing the difference between a war plan and an attack plan?
I don't even know what that means. I mean, the plain language in the text is, well, yeah, what are they arguing? That an attack is different than a war? They put operational details of a forthcoming attack on a terrorist organization into Signal, into a Signal chat that included phone numbers that they didn't recognize. I don't even understand what that means. They're talking about attacking and killing terrorists using various weapon systems. So she's just playing some sort of weird semantic game. I don't understand.
So let's talk about those texts a little further. And as you say, you're allowing readers to decide for themselves what they mean. But just walk us through some of the texts you saw there from particularly the Secretary of Defense and then later the National Security Advisor about the operation that day in Yemen.
Right. Look, the key thing here is, this is an interesting one you have up on the screen. This is Mike Waltz in a commercial messaging app, providing real-time intelligence updates about the consequences of an American attack. Obviously, there's a challenge here for secrecy, because if you know this, the question then arises, how do they know this, and what kind of assets do they have, technical or human assets, that would know that? But the core of this chain is the statement, is the long text issued by Pete Hegseth 2 hours before the first bombs fell in Yemen. Everybody can find it on the Atlantic website now, in which he goes hour by hour, sometimes minute by minute, here's what's going to happen. And the thing that really struck me, as I'm, again, reading this on my phone in a Safeway parking lot, the thing that really struck me is that he's telling me and others that an attack hasn't even begun yet, but the planes are launching in 31 minutes. You know, like, imagine this text went to someone else. I mean, if that's not secret, classified information about, or the most sensitive kind of government information in the world, I don't know what is. I mean, if Caroline Leavitt is arguing that it's not a war because Congress didn't declare war on Yemen, okay, fine. She wants to play a semantic game. But this is operational details about a forthcoming attack on an enemy that has anti-aircraft capabilities. They've allegedly shot down our drones before. So why you would tell anyone in the world on a messaging app that American pilots are about to fly into a, sorry for the expression, war zone, that's an interesting question.